Alright, today I had a debate with someone on the comments on Facebook, I guess, about the Chronic and how Snoop Dogg actually was a big part of the Chronic and he contributed a lot. And if the Chronic is a classic, it is not only a classic for Dr. Dre, it is also a classic for Snoop Dogg. So it should be included in Snoop Dogg's discography as well. Someone almost tried to jump on me in from the comments. He threatened to kill me or something, just because I said that. So I haven't seen a lot of people. I'm talking about fans here who actually created Snoop Dogg with the Chronic. But the people who are actually well versed and well educated in hip hop, for example, someone like Justin Hunt, he's a journalist. If you don't know, he is a house of information for real. He knows a lot of about hip hop, and I am actually listening to him from the last 3 to 4 years. And I actually got into hip hop 5 6 years ago. So So what I'm saying is, in my opinion, Snoop Dogg deserves the equal credit as Dr. Dre. Why I say that is because on 13 of the tracks, there are 16 tracks on the album, and on 13 of the tracks, Snoop Dogg is credited as a writer. When someone co-wrote on 13 of the tracks on a 16 track album, he co-wrote on 13 tracks, and you're saying me that he is not worthy of the credit? Well, that's bullshit to me, because there were three songs that he was not credited, and on all of those three songs there were a lot of artists that were featured. So let's talk about the most legendary song of all time. The Chronic single handedly defined West Coast hip hop. It is one of the, if not the greatest hip hop album of all time. There is no debate in that. One of the greatest songs of all time, Nothing But a G Thing, which single handedly defined West Coast hip hop. And I think no one would argue that it is one of the, if not the most legendary songs of all time. Who was featured on that song? It was Snoop Dogg. Um, why is that song as special as it is? In my opinion, because of Snoop Dogg. I'm taking nothing away from Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre is one of the, if not the greatest executives of all executives of all time. The way he compiled all of his albums, The Chronic, of course, classic. 2001 was a classic as well. Compton, that was released in 2015, was a phenomenal album as well. Three albums, and possibly or arguably three classics. Well, I can't name you one artist who hasn't released a bad album. Like, in my opinion, an artist has to release a bad album because it shows the development. It shows that they are experimenting. Sometimes we confuse bad with experimental. For example, Kanye West Yeezus. People say that album was trash. It was not trash by any means. It was experimental. It was too much experimental for y'all, but y'all can't say that the album was trash. So I say that to say that Snoop Dogg deserves the credit. Let me name another example. My beautiful dark twisted fantasy. Uh, Sci High the Prince had a very big hand in that album, and he should be credited with that album. But the thing about Snoop Dogg is he he went out to release a lot of albums that are arguably classics. In my opinion, Doggy Style, of course, a classic album. The Chronic, I will give The Chronic to Snoop Dogg as well. So two classics. Other than those two mega hit, mega commercial, widely acknowledged classics, I think Snoop Dogg has at least three more classics in his discography, and that is only me. He has more than 15 studio albums. Never Left was a phenomenal album. Kool Aid, I think it was released in 2015 or 14 or 15. That was great. Bush was great. But no one actually acknowledges that, and it is sad to me. Maybe I'm not qualified enough to say the things I'm saying, and if I'm wrong by any means, you can correct me in the comments. But in my opinion, uh, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, they both deserve equal credit for The Chronic, and The Chronic should be included in Snoop Dogg's discography as well, because writing and producing are two different things. For example, uh, I'm just naming this project for an example. I don't think it is a classic or it is good or phenomenal or something. But let's say someone like Big Sean, he released an album with Metro Boomin. So, for example, we like this all album was phenomenal or great. We look at his album after 5 years, 6 years. If we look at this album, would you say that this album is a classic just because of Snoop Metro Boomin? No. Would you say that this album is a classic just because of Big Sean? No. Because there was hype for both of them. For both of them, there was hype. And actually, another part that I would like to discuss is Snoop Dogg was a writer. He wasn't featured on The Chronic. He was a writer, he's a co-writer. We don't know how much of the album he wrote. We really don't know. Maybe he just wrote a couple of he just some of the lines with his lines, or some of the words, or he changed some of the words, or he added something to the words or something like that. We don't know. Take someone for example as Run the Jewels. They released their third album. There was no one credited except Killer Mike and LP. That means they actually wrote the album. So Run the Jewels 3 is a classic. All of the three albums will be considered classics in the near future. All of these albums, Run the Jewels 3 is phenomenal. I just made a video about the Run the Jewels video. So if you want to check that out, check that out. I will leave a link down below. So that album in the near future will be, of course, a classic. And it will not be a classic only because of LP's production or LP's rapping. They both have the same, or they both deserve the same credit for the album being a classic. So I think Snoop Dogg deserves equal credit as Dr. Dre. I made this video specifically for people who actually say that no, he doesn't deserve to be credited as like the Chronic shouldn't be included in Snoop Dogg's discography, and I completely disagree with that for the following reasons. So if you disagree or have an opinion of your own, you can feel free to leave a comment down below, and we will have a conversation. So thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.